Why Kyle Richards is defensive over Mauricio Umansky amid separation. As Kyle Richards continues to navigate her separation from Mauricio Umansky, there's one thing she doesn't need from her family and friends. On an episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills After Show, which you can watch above, Kyle and Erica Jane talked about meeting with Kyle's sister, Cathys Hilton, to discuss the details of the split. When Cathys tried to make Kyle feel better by poking fun at Mauricio's looks in older age during The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 14 Episode 2, Kyle wasn't exactly here for it. She's sticking up for her sister. Come on, Erica began in the after-show clip as Kyle explained why the gesture wasn't her cup of tea. I think Cathys thinks that's sticking up for me, but I don't need anyone to put him down to make me feel better, she shared. I care about him, and I don't like when people make jokes or comments like that. I get defensive. Kyle went on to explain that she doesn't think her sister has any ill will toward Mauricio, but that's her logic of trying to make Kyle feel better, considering the situation. All the same, Kyle doesn't need to hear it. People will say that, and I'm like, it's oak. Kyle Richards shares what Mauricio Umansky has never said since their split. In addition to the RHOBH after show, Kyle spoke about the details of her divorce from Mauricio at the RHOBH Season 14 reunion. During Part 3 of the dramatic sit-down, Jennifer Tilly asked Kyle directly if Mauricio wants to get back together. I know he regrets things that have happened that got us to this place, Kyle responded. I don't know if he wants to get back together because he has never said that. While the mom of four hasn't directly said whether she wants to reconcile with her ex, she has expressed regret about how things unfolded. I mean, I have regrets for both of us allowing us to get to this place, she shared. I wish that we had communicated better when things started bubbling up. Cathys made her stance clear during a conversation with Andy Cohen, saying she hopes the couple reunites because she doesn't like things to change. As for the root of their issues, Kyle clarified they weren't caused by RHOBH. We were strong throughout the show, she said. He was always my biggest supporter. Instead, Kyle pointed to outside pressures like money, traveling, fame, his business, the agency, the attention he was getting as contributing to the split. Why Kyle Richards is defensive over Mauricio Umansky amid separation. Kyle Richards was never one to crumble easily. Behind the rhinestone glimmer of Beverly Hills, beneath the carefully tailored dresses, diamonds, and designer smiles, lived a woman who'd fought her way through decades of public scrutiny with both elegance and fire. Now, as Season 14 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills unfurled its drama-laced petals, her separation from Mauricio Umansky threatened to become just another glittery headline. But for Kyle, this wasn't just reality TV. This was her reality, and there was a reason she got so defensive when it came to him. It started with a joke. Cathys Hilton, Kyle's famously sharp-tongued sister, had meant well, at least in the Hilton sort of way. Sitting in one of those sun-drenched kitchens where everyone drinks from champagne flutes regardless of the hour, she made an offhand comment about Mauricio's aging looks. It was Season 14, Episode 2, just another day in the RHOBH universe. But for Kyle, the jab landed with unexpected weight. I think Cathys thinks that's sticking up for me, Kyle would later explain to Erica Jane during the after show. But I don't need anyone to put him down to make me feel better. There was no visible tear, no dramatic exit, just a quiet, seismic shift in energy, a change so subtle only someone who had loved someone for nearly 3 decades would notice. The ghost of what was Kyle met Mauricio when she was still figuring herself out, not just as an actress or a mother or a woman, but as a person. He was charming, driven, and, perhaps most importantly, kind. When they married in 1996, he didn't just promise love, he brought her security. The kind that doesn't glitter, but grounds. The kind that makes you feel safe even when the cameras are off. For years, he was her rock. Through Housewives fame, family feuds, and headlines filled with rumors, he remained steady. And Kyle, for all her flair and fame, always leaned into that quiet kind of strength. But love, even love like that, can be fragile when stretched too far. Fame came with a price tag, not just the obvious ones, tabloids, fans, endless speculation, but the slow erosion of privacy, of intimacy, of two people simply being together without performance. Mauricio's real estate empire, the agency, took off. Kyle's career soared. Their 4 daughters grew up in the spotlight. Life became loud. The defense mechanism. So when Cathys poked fun at Mauricio, even gently, she hit a nerve Kyle didn't know was still raw. Because it wasn't just a joke about Mauricio's age or his changing appearance. It was a reminder of everything Kyle was mourning. A man she had built her life with, who had stood by her as the world watched and judged, who had loved her when she barely knew how to love herself. "I care about him," Kyle told Erica, her voice softer than usual, stripped of the bravado that often colored her housewives persona. "And I don't like when people make jokes or comments like that. I get defensive." Of course she did. This wasn't just about their current status. This was about history, about gratitude, about love that doesn't vanish just because the marriage is changing form. What's left behind? Kyle has always had a complicated relationship with loyalty. Her family, the Richards Hilton dynasty, is famously fractious. There have been years without speaking, awkward reunions on camera, and healing that never seems to fully complete. With Mauricio, it was different. He was consistent, a presence, a home. So when people ask why Kyle gets defensive, they're really asking the wrong question. It's not just why she defends him, it's what she's defending. She's defending the years he stood quietly beside her as the cameras rolled and critics sharpened their knives. She's defending the father of her children, the man who coached soccer games, took prom pictures, and never missed a milestone. She's defending the part of herself that still remembers being in love with him. Maybe not the kind of love that sings now, but the kind that once built a life and never fully goes away. Silence speaks. During Part 3 of the RHOBA Season 14 reunion, the questions were no longer subtle. Jennifer Tilly asked Kyle point-blank, "Does Mauricio want to get back together?" Kyle hesitated, not because she didn't know the answer, but because knowing it meant confronting truths that were easier left floating. "I know he regrets things that have happened that got us to this place," she said. "I don't know if he wants to get back together because he has never said that." The silence, it turns out, says everything. Mauricio hasn't said he wants her back, and she hasn't said she wants him back either. But regret hangs in the air between them, shared, unspoken, aching. "I have regrets," Kyle admitted. "I wish that we had communicated better when things started bubbling up." It's the kind of heartbreak that doesn't come with betrayal or scandal. It's quieter, more devastating, the slow fading of something once bright. The kind of pain you don't see coming until the silence is so loud you can't hear anything else. Cathys' logic. Cathys Hilton doesn't mean harm. In her world, teasing is love, humor is balm, and nostalgia is a blanket. She wants things to go back to how they were, Kyle laughing in her Bel Air home, Mauricio making margaritas, the girls lounging poolside like a Norman Rockwell painting draped in Cathys. "I don't like things to change," Cathys told Andy Cohen, her voice uncharacteristically sincere. But change had already come, and no amount of jokes or jabs or well-meaning sisterly shade could undo it. To Cathys, making fun of Mauricio was her way of sticking up for Kyle, making her feel less alone, less guilty, less tethered to a man she was slowly letting go. But to Kyle, it felt like another layer of misunderstanding from a family who rarely knew what she needed when it mattered most. The core of the storm. If RHOBH wasn't the cause, what was? Kyle made it clear the show wasn't the villain. "We were strong throughout the show," she said. "He was always my biggest supporter." The fracture came from life, real life, the kind not edited into episodes or curated for Instagram. It came from the grind of building businesses, raising daughters, navigating fame, traveling separately, growing individually. Kyle once said that she and Mauricio didn't grow apart. They grew in different directions. That truth is less poetic than a cheating scandal, but far more human. What remains? So, why does Kyle still get defensive over Mauricio? Because separation doesn't erase gratitude. Divorce doesn't dismantle respect. And love, real love, doesn't vanish on cue. There's a myth in Hollywood that once something is broken, it must be trashed or torn apart for ratings. But Kyle, in her quiet moments, knows that some things aren't meant to be destroyed, just redefined. Even if they don't reconcile, and she's not saying they will, she still wants to honor what they had, because it was good, and it mattered. So yes, she'll get defensive when people make jokes. Because behind the drama and diamonds, there's still a woman who loved deeply, and who still does, in her own complicated way. A love that changed but didn't die. One day, maybe years from now, Kyle will sit with Mauricio at one of their daughters' weddings.